quick, speedy demonstration of the pie before we devour it. Look how juicy and fine it is and how many layers it has. Simply wonderful. I start preparing the dough by putting 600 grams of all-purpose flour into a mixing bowl. I add 1 tablespoon of salt and 10 grams of baking powder. Then I mix all of that. I pour in 200 milliliters of plain yogurt, (200 milliliters of water, and 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. I mix all of that together with a spatula. Then I scrape everything off the spatula like this and continue kneading the dough. I will knead until I completely pick up everything from this bowl. I have picked up everything from the bowl, but the dough is still a bit sticky, so I will continue to knead it on the table. I sprinkle the work surface with a bit of flour, take the dough out, and continue kneading there. I add very little flour while kneading. The dough needs to remain soft and just slightly sticky. After a few minutes, the dough is kneaded. The surface is a bit lumpy, and that is how it should look. Sprinkle the table with a bit of flour. In total, I used about 30 to 40 grams for 600 grams of flour. The flour I am using is type 400, smooth or all-purpose flour. I let the dough rest like this for about 30 minutes. After about 30 minutes, we take the dough like this and just knead it a little. We turn it in a circle a few times. Now you will see how this surface becomes smooth. See? Now I divide the dough into 4 parts. I will shape each of these parts into a ball. I will sprinkle each of these dough balls with a bit of flour and then roll them out with a rolling pin. I roll them out to approximately the size of a large shallow plate. It should be about 20 to 25 centimeters in diameter. Approximately like this. Now I will set that piece of dough aside and roll out the remaining 3 in the same way. I cover the dough with a cloth and let it rest for about 5 minutes while I make the filling. For the filling, I use 400 to 500 grams of ground meat, 1 onion, 1 level teaspoon of salt, and half a teaspoon of pepper. You dose the pepper according to how seasoned you like it. And now I take it all and mix it. For the glaze, I use 150 grams of this semi-melted margarine or butter, and I pour in 100 milliliters of oil. I deliberately did not melt everything completely, so it wouldn't be too hot, and then I would have to wait long for it to cool. I will just mix everything like this, and it will melt from this heat. I take the previously prepared glaze and spread it on the work surface where I will place the dough. Now I will also spread some around the dough. And then I will take and put 1/3 of the meat. When I do that, I pat everything down nicely like this. Then I will add a few tablespoons of this glaze. You can also rub the glaze in with your hand like this. I place the second piece of dough on top. Now I will immediately put 2 to 3 tablespoons of glaze on the dough and spread it with my hand. Then I will add the meat, then dough again, glaze, meat, and the last piece of dough on top. Now we take the 4th piece of dough and transfer it on top. The dough has rested nicely and is very soft. The 3rd layer even stretched in my hands more than it should have, but nothing terrible. Just gather it a bit if that happens to you. And now just join the edges like this. Where it's leaking a little, cover it. Leave the fat that's leaking out, that's how it should be. The dough will absorb all of that. And now, 2-3 tablespoons of oil. More precisely, of this glaze. And now I take it like this. Since I will now stretch this out a bit, I also need to grease the area around it. And now just like this. You can also do it like this. Then push everything. Like that. Now when you stretch it out like this, take this part up to 1/3. Like a letter. Then take this part and then like this. Again, we pat everything down well. We can brush it with a little more fat. Where you see there are maybe some drier spots, since this is after all a meat pie. Some would say burek. It must have fat. What now? I took a brush, but I'm doing everything by hand. Like this. And like this. We turn it to the other side. And now we will transfer the pie to the pan. We take a larger pan, dimensions 40 by 30 centimeters, or something similar, and grease it with fat. We then transfer the pie like this. And then press it with our hand to spread it out. If it happens that the pie doesn't quite go from corner to corner, or doesn't stretch out nicely for you, you can let it rest for about 10 minutes. Then the dough will relax and you can stretch it more easily. You can score the whole pie a little with a knife like this, but you don't have to. And then we take 1 egg yolk, then take a brush, break the yolk and brush the entire pie. Then we will turn the oven on to preheat to 200 degrees Celsius, and then we will take the pie to bake. Here it is, our pie is baked. The baking time is between 30 and 35 minutes. I will just quickly show you how beautifully this pie looks. Look how many layers it has. And I'm sure you haven't made it using this method that I used.